My name's Logan Carroll, and I was born and raised here in Mantec. This is my home that I grew up in, and I'm 25 years old, and I started using drugs when I was 12. I started drinking when I was 12. I started using pot when I was 13. I started using cocaine when I was 14. By 16, I'd had a basic operation where I had my wisdom teeth removed and I was prescribed opiates. And from there, I went through all of the opiates. I went from Percocets to Oxycontin, Oxycontin to hydromorphone, hydromorphone to fentanyl, fentanyl to heroin, and illicit fentanyl. I was an IV user by the time I was 19, and I came into recovery when I was 23. I started using opiates recreationally, and it was just that. It was something I did on weekends, something I did from time to time, and I was holding down some jobs using landscaping and metal fabrication. But as I started to progress in my addiction, I started using them at work, and I found that they were very helpful at work. Opiates specifically used to help a lot. Once I started using them, I mean, I worked long hours, I worked hard labor, and not having to worry about the physical symptoms of not feeling well to go to work, being hurt, being just tired. I mean, it really did help with that. And then once I started getting in that rhythm of using opiates while I was at work, I found that I really relied on them until there came a point where I was addicted to them. And I attributed being good at my job with being on opiates, and I couldn't do my job when I wasn't on opiates. So it turned into this vicious cycle of recycling the same thing, where I got this message in my head telling me that I could only do my job if I had opiates, and there came a time when I didn't have any, and then I couldn't do my job anymore. Once I became physically dependent on opiates, I attributed me being good at my job with me being on opiates. And when the time came where I didn't have any opiates, it made my job a lot harder. I started missing work. I started drug seeking, making sure, because I believed that the only way I was going to be good at my job is if I had these things. I came into recovery as a result of a concerned family friend reaching out to me and asking me if I was ready for help. And at that exact moment when she asked, I was ready for help. And luckily I said yes, and I forgot about it. About 15 days later, she called me and it said, I got you into a treatment center in Calgary. Would you be willing to go? And I said yes, again, reluctantly. I didn't know what I was expecting. And honestly, it seemed easier to just continue to live the life I was living than to get sober. So about 10 months into my first bout with recovery, I relapsed. I was working full-time doing concrete out in Calgary. And I was working every day. I didn't really know when I was going to have any time off at that point. We kind of just worked until there wasn't any work, and there just seemed to always be work. So I was always working. I was not doing my regular recovery things that I had learned about in treatment. And I did relapse, yes. I had some family issues here at home as well, which probably play a factor into that. But I relapsed on some illicit fentanyl. It's like heroin, but it was fentanyl. And I overdosed at that. It took a few Narcans for me to come back, and CPR, and 2 days later I came out of the hospital and it was okay. But I continued to use after that for a few months. I've been in recovery since October 15th, 2016. I've been abstinent from drugs and alcohol now since December 15th, 2017. I never thought I'd be able to work as hard again. Coming off of opiate dependency, you go through a lot of withdrawal symptoms. You get really weak, really tired, you get fatigued easily. And I didn't think I'd ever be able to work at the same level that I was working at. It took me a long time to get back to a place where it's hard to stop me now. I didn't think I'd ever have that again. I had that mental gap where I didn't believe that it was possible. I mean, breaking down the stigma around me being the way I was would have helped me reach to my employer for help before I got let go, I think. Because I took a lot of events over and over and over again for them to finally say, hey, maybe you shouldn't come here anymore. But if I had been able to talk to them, they had I had benefits, I had a good job, and there were options for me, but I didn't know about them. We didn't talk about it, nobody talked about it. I never really understood the point of talking about the stigma, because I just didn't see how it related to my life, but really it's that social thing. If I was able to be like, hey, I'm having an issue with drugs and I would really like to see help, and I took a talk to my employer about that, that would have been super helpful. But at that time, I didn't even consider it. You know, it was something I got myself into this, I'll get myself out kind of mentality, and that wasn't helpful. You know, it wasn't helpful at all. I feel it's my duty to talk about it, whether I want to or not. I mean, if my story helps anybody, then I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, because somebody took that time to talk to me about it at some point. Unfortunately, it was in a place where it was just me and them, you know? He was just helping me, and I was just being helped, just alone. And I think that if I had more of the resources that I have now, back 10 years ago, I maybe wouldn't be in the position I'm in now. And it's really just about raising the bottom, you know? I don't want to have people get to the point that I got to get where I am now. It's simple as that. And if that means I have to go and do interviews and do my duties to give back what was freely given to me, then that's what I'm going to do.